Nityanandam, everyone. I just wanted to share a little bit more about the Inner Awakening programs and the glimpses of Mahasara Shivoham program happening in a few days in Bengaluru, Arinam, and online through two-way connection around the world. So two of the major things that we all struggle with is ego and discontentment. What we think of ourselves is basically the limitations we have in our life. What is limiting in our life is who we think we are. See, anything you can think about you is basically an incompletion. Any thought you can have about you is an incompletion. Thinking cannot be equated to you. Flatly said. This is one of the dangers Swamiji has even talked about, equating the cosmic consciousness and the pure existence to this life. It cannot be equated. It's like equating the cake to the person who eats the cake. That cannot be equated. If I'm eating the cake, that's one thing. The cake itself is something different. Eating the cake is a different thing. So it's like the life is a fruit of consciousness and one expression of consciousness. It cannot be equated to consciousness. So same way, who I think I am and my ego cannot be equated to the ultimate truth. Anything that I can think of as me, it's only a thought, which means it's much less than me, and it will be limiting me. Even if it's a positive thought, because it will only be in one direction. Conscious expansion will be much stronger and much faster than any thoughts we can have, and much more permanent. Thoughts, even if they're positive thoughts, will just be fleeting. And because of the contaminations in our body from like the contaminated water we drink and the air we breathe and all the plastics and contaminants in our food, then the physical body will have those kind of depressions also that will create many thousands of depressed thoughts that will just quickly wash away any positive thinking strategy. So, if you want a permanent solution to this, that Inner Awakening program is there. In those few weeks, Swamiji makes that experience of your source of you as pure consciousness as a permanent experience in you. See, in any two-day program like the Glimpses of Mahasara Shivoham, Swamiji also will make you to express Shaktis, experience the space of oneness with your source, and from that space experience the power that is there, that exists in the existence, that is possible and available to you. Of course, only through the help of a living incarnation, which we are impossibly blessed to have now living with us as Paramahamsa Nityananda. So in those 2 days, he'll give you that experience and the ability to express yourself as pure consciousness. So it's not just a word anymore, but what is that experience like when I can move things in the physical world with just my intention, when I can change my relationships with just my intention, when I can manifest jobs or money or people or anything I want to eat for lunch just through my conscious intention. Have the experience of yourself as consciousness. Swamiji will give that in a few days here, starting on the weekend. But if you want that as a permanent experience in your, the cells in our body need to change because they're so contaminated, and in our brain and the nerves in our body, completely depression oriented. So all the depression chemicals, the stress chemicals, all the flood of hormones that we've never learned to control, and the associated thoughts, all the images of sex and violence that they show us, basically everything that's going on in the world today is putting us in depression. So we need to find a way out of this. But it goes down to the expression of our DNA. See, our cells are working in a certain way to respond to the world in a certain way. When that is not available, or when we train them to respond when we compel them to need to find a new way to respond to what's happening in the system, they go to the DNA to find the intelligence of how to respond to the system. See, in our DNA, so much information is there we know that is unknown. What it is its intelligence and certain code, but it will not be used by all of our bodies. It has to be awakened. When your body is pushed, for example, to the survival need of food, when food is not provided, for example, the body can survive on the energy from the sun and from the space around us, but there's a certain intelligence that needs to be imbued into the cells in our body so that we can live that way. Not that we'll just be able to naturally express that, because it has not been developed. It's been quelched from the time we're born with all the environmental contaminants. But if you push your body to the survival need for food, then the cells will be like, oh my God, I'm not getting food, after so many days. It will go to the DNA and say, hey, what can we do? The DNA will open up and say, hey, here's a solution, do that. But then that has to become part of our cells and part of our blood. So in that sense, we think it has to become part of our bone marrow. It has to happen on that cellular level for our body to continuously to evolve as a healthy body by sustaining itself only through energy from the sun or the space around us, for example. But it takes some time and it takes a lot of practice, and it may not happen anyway. But see, Swamiji has the ability to do all those things for us anyway. So in the 2-day glimpses of Mahasara Shivoham, we'll be able to express these Shaktis we never thought possible, experience ourselves as a being, as a conscious being with conscious intention that can impact the physical world with our conscious intention. I tell you, from my own experience, that is what really changes your understanding of you. When you're able to sit and manifest things like telephone conversations or messages to people, or you're able to see things or help people or heal them just by sitting, then you know for sure, without a doubt, you're a conscious being. And you really ask the question, why I have this body? It's not needed. So these are the experiences Swamiji will give to you in just a few days. But if you want the cellular change, that change in your nervous system, in your blood, the change in your blood, the cells of your blood, the change in your bone marrow, your very DNA. Actually, Swamiji, with his energy, he can actually make that process of opening up the DNA and the intelligence hidden in the DNA much faster. In just a few weeks of inner awakening, he can do that just by putting us through a certain process that is required to push our system to a certain point so that the DNA will open up in a certain way to give us those certain powers and intelligence. Swamiji can do that. That's the definition of incarnation. That's how we recognize him as incarnation, because he's doing these things. You seeing me on YouTube, you know that many people are sharing the same experiences. So, if you want to have this physical, permanent change in your life of going beyond the ego, going beyond discontentment to gratitude, any kind of thing you want to make in your life for relationships or helping other people, healing people, creating any career, or manifesting for yourself and your family, the way it's going to become a permanent part of your body and radiate that to other cells of other people's body is through the Inner Awakening program. So first thing, register for this 2-day program just so you can get yourself ready and prepared to be in the Inner Awakening and really excited so you can bring more people that can also have this necessary, life-changing, life-feeding gift from Swamiji in the Inner Awakening program, which also prepares you for after this death, which is really the problem we have to solve. However you live this life is okay, but what are you going to do after this life? If all your emotions and stuff are controlling us now, when we have to leave the body and our conscious awareness is not comfortable with that, it's very scary and we try to hide, then all our fears and worries and lust and that kind of stuff is going to guide us to where we go next. It's going to go into another body. It has to go somewhere to live somewhere. So that body, if we don't control and clear our emotions now, that body is going to be a real painful body. Probably not going to be a human body. And then after that, how many times you'll have to go around in different life forms until you get another human body, we don't know. So the problem is not even this lifetime, it's next lifetime. Swamiji solves that also in Inner Awakening program, giving the death meditation process where you go through the experience of your own death consciously and experience that you exist without the body and the body's not needed. That in itself will take like 75 to 85 or more of your stress and worries about what life is and what you need to do and don't need to do. This list is too long. You can see the thousands of videos of all the people in Swamiji's videos sharing about what he's given to them, of what he gives in Inner Awakening. But it's here now. You can have a real quick glimpse in just a few days. You don't have to even wait. You bring some of your friends for a life-changing, necessary. When you leave this body, what will you do? We do not know. So you better solve that question first. It's the only question you have to solve in this lifetime. So you better get it. Because if you don't, and you leave this body, any kind of body you're going to take next, we don't know. Be stuck in some animal body for millions of years is not cool. You're here now. You're hearing me speak. You know about Swamiji, you have the solution, you can get it in just a few short weeks, and from Paramahamsa Nityananda. So that's it. This is an opportunity and it's there now. So please enjoy it. Message me personally for anything, please. And then I'm really looking forward to hearing about how you've learned about Swamiji and the benefits that you've got, and seeing how you're excited about giving that to more and more people. A necessary life thing about why I'm here, what I can do when I'm here, and solving this problem of the polluted consciousness, the pure consciousness in the polluted human body, and that being a conflict. Solving that before we have to leave the body and then end up in some mistaken place. So thank you for listening, and we're going to continue on this sharings about the gifts that Paramahamsa Nityananda gives, and specifically in the Inner Awakening program, which is available to everyone to get the permanent change in your lifetime for your consciousness that you cannot get anywhere else, and sharing more of the bliss that Swamiji is giving. Thank you very much to everyone, and thank you, Swamiji. Nityanandam.